There's just one habit that can restore your muscle strength as if you were 20 years old again. I'm 96. I'm not a hero, a retired athlete, or a health nut. I'm just an ordinary old man with crooked fingers, a tired back, and a bag full of memories, among which my own legs are increasingly taking center stage. Because at some point, they just stopped obeying me. Not all at once, but gradually. At first, I started to notice that standing still for a long time was really hard. My legs felt like they were filled with lead. Then I began to fear walking up and down stairs, even when holding onto the railing. One day, I almost stumbled in the kitchen. I didn't fall, but I got scared in a way I hadn't felt since the war. From that day on, I started moving slowly and hesitantly, always feeling like the ground beneath my feet was not solid floor, but unstable soil. My grandson suggested exercises, and my granddaughter bought some resistance bands and showed me videos. But I just waved my hand because I was too scared to even think about making any movement, except for the walk from the bed to the bathroom. I gave up. I began living in my chair, sitting and waiting for something. I didn't even know what. One day, my neighbor Bill, who was 89 at the time, told me, almost in a whisper, as if it were a secret. Every morning, I do one thing for 5 minutes, no more. I just activate my legs. Not a sport, but movement. I brushed it off, but the next day I did it again. And then once more. I was just lifting my heels, doing some light squats by the bed, and standing on one leg while holding on to the wall. A little, cautiously, without ambitions. A week had passed. One day I found myself standing by the window, leaning against nothing, just because it felt comfortable. Then I went to get some tea and suddenly realized I hadn't thought about how I was walking. My legs started to come back to life. Not young, not fast, but alive, strong, and most importantly, reliable. And all of this is thanks to one morning habit that takes less time than a cup of coffee. But it was she who gave me the most precious feeling that I could stand firmly on my own 2 feet again. We often think that old age arrives with wrinkles, forgetfulness, or gray hair. But in reality, it comes through our legs. They are the first to give in when muscle mass fades away like water through a crack. After the age of 70, a person begins to lose about 1 to 2% of their muscle mass each year, often without even noticing it. Slowly and imperceptibly, day by day, muscle tissue is replaced by fat, strength diminishes, joints lose support, and everything that once seemed simple becomes a challenge. Getting up from the couch, climbing stairs, or even just standing in the kitchen while doing the dishes. This phenomenon is known as sarcopenia, and unfortunately, it is not just a part of aging, but one of the main causes of disability and falls among older adults. Research shows that over 40% of people over the age of 80 experience significant muscle weakness, most often in the lower body, particularly in the legs and hips. The saddest part is that a person doesn't feel pain. They just start moving less, justifying it by their age. Eventually, they stop moving altogether. And this is where the real trouble begins. Along with the muscles, not only strength, but also confidence, independence, and the sense of being a capable person fade away. We start asking for help, and then we become dependent on it. And very often, all of this could have been stopped. Not with medications or injections, but through movement. Small, but consistent. A simple habit that doesn't let the muscles give up without a fight. That's why that 5-minute morning routine I introduced into my life became more than just a workout. It became a way to reclaim control over myself. When I first started doing my morning 5 minutes, I wasn't thinking about muscles, tone, or strength. I was only focused on one thing. Could I actually do it without falling or feeling foolish? The first exercise was incredibly simple. I stood next to my bed, grabbed the headboard, and slowly began to rise onto my toes, feeling my calves tighten. Then I would lower myself back onto my heels, sensing the blood flowing back into my muscles. At first, I struggled to maintain my balance. My legs trembled, and each lift felt like a challenge that made my heart race and my breath quicken. But every morning I stubbornly did it again, slowly, not for the sake of results, but rather just to keep my promise to myself. After a week, I felt something new. Rising onto my toes stopped being a challenge. My legs began to move more confidently, and my body started to respond calmly to this simple exercise. 2 weeks later, I decided to add some small, shallow squats while holding onto the wall, and suddenly I realized that my legs were obeying me, as if they had begun to believe again that I could control them. It felt almost magical. I was squatting down and standing up without feeling any tremors or weakness. Just a pleasant, steady tension in muscles I hadn't felt in years. A month later, something unexpected happened. One morning, I got out of bed and walked across the room without a cane, without support, without that familiar feeling that my legs might give out on me. I just stood up and walked. And it wasn't until I reached the kitchen that I realized I was moving freely and easily, just like many years ago, when I didn't even think about how to place my feet on the floor. That's when I understood. Strength had returned, not in the form of big muscles or records, but as a calm, steady confidence in every step I took, in every movement, and in each day that began with a simple habit. 5 minutes a day, and my legs are mine again. Just recently, every step I took felt like a careful experiment, as if I were walking on ice or a narrow plank, fearing that I might slip, stumble, or simply lose my balance. I was constantly searching for support with my eyes, grabbing onto walls, furniture, and even asking my grandchildren to place an extra chair in the hallway so I could have something to hold on to. From the outside, it looked normal, typical for an elderly person. But inside I felt humiliated, as if my own body had stopped belonging to me and was now living a life of its own, one devoid of stability and confidence. When I started my 5-minute exercises, I never imagined they could impact my balance. I was simply standing on my toes and squatting by the bed. But gradually, I began to notice that my body stopped being afraid of losing balance. At first, I stopped leaning against the wall during my exercises. Then I started making light movements on one leg. And eventually, I was walking around the house without the constant urge to grab onto something for support. The real turning point came the day I was descending the steps at my front porch. In the past, I would always grip the handrail tightly, staring down without looking away. And each step felt like a small victory. But that day, I suddenly realized I was descending calmly, not clinging to the rail, not even looking at the steps, as if my body instinctively knew how to move safely and correctly. Stopping in the middle of the staircase, I felt a sense of pride I hadn't experienced in a long time. I was in control again, trusting my legs once more. This change wasn't a coincidence. It became the result of simple daily exercises that subtly strengthened not only my muscles, but also the internal stabilizers responsible for my balance and coordination. My stride became smooth, calm, and confident, not like an athlete's, but just like an ordinary, lively person who can move through life with ease again. Those 5 minutes every day gave me back what I thought I had lost forever, the ability to stand firmly on the ground and walk without fear or doubt. Before I started this simple morning routine, my days felt like a slow-motion scene from an old movie. I would wake up feeling tired, spend most of my time sitting, move around the house slowly and cautiously, and at night I would go to bed with the feeling that the day had passed me by without really touching me. I was alive, but it felt like I only had enough energy for breathing and the occasional movement around the house, nothing more. When I first tried a 5-minute leg workout, I didn't feel anything special, just a slight fatigue and surprise that I could actually do it. But just a few days later, I noticed that I was waking up not with a heaviness in my body, but with a light sense of anticipation for something new and good. Mornings no longer felt like a heavy burden. They became a small challenge that I faced not with despair, but with joy. Gradually, the energy I got from these exercises started to carry me through the entire day. I stopped sitting in my chair as often, began to walk around the house more, and spent more time outside. My grandkids noticed that I started calling them more often, asking about their lives and wondering when they would come to visit. I felt a renewed sense of strength and a desire to engage, live actively, and appreciate the little things. Even my old dog started looking at me differently with surprise and curiosity, noticing that his owner wanted to move again, go to the park, and even throw him a ball instead of just sitting silently on a bench. With this newfound energy came a fresh mood. I started smiling more often, joking with my neighbors again, and even routine tasks like going out for bread no longer felt like a boring chore. Instead, they turned into little adventures where my legs obeyed me once more and didn't demand breaks every 5 minutes. The world around me became brighter and friendlier, and I realized clearly that my mood and energy are directly tied to how alive my body feels. These 5 minutes that I spend every morning have become for me not just a physical workout. They have turned into a ritual of returning to life, to activity, and to that inner feeling that I can and want to do more again. This perhaps is one of the greatest benefits that my new simple habit has given me. When I first heard about this habit, it seemed ridiculously simple. But as it turns out, the greatest strength lies in that simplicity. You don't need complicated instructions or sports experience here. All you need is consistency and a little patience. Here's how I do it and how I recommend you do it. Choose a convenient time. The best time is in the morning, right after you wake up, even before breakfast. This not only wakes up your muscles, but also sets the tone for the entire day. However, if mornings are really tough, you can move your workouts to noon or early evening. The key is to do it daily and at about the same time. Find your spot. It should be comfortable and safe. I chose a small corner by my bed where I can easily hold onto the headboard or the wall if I need support. The main thing is to have the ability to perform the exercises calmly and without fear. A simple 5-minute workout. This routine consists of 3 easy exercises: calf raises, stand up straight while holding onto the wall or your bed. Slowly rise up onto your toes, feeling the tension in your calves, and then lower yourself back down just as slowly. Aim for 10-15 repetitions. Light squats. Again, holding on to a better chair. Gently bend your knees as if you're sitting on an invisible chair, but not too deep, just about 4-8 inches. Stand back up. Do this 10-12 times. Standing on one leg. While holding on to a wall with one hand, gently lift one leg off the floor and hold that position for 10-15 seconds. Then switch legs. Repeat this twice for each leg. Consistency is more important than complexity. At first, it might seem challenging. The key here is not the number of repetitions, but the consistency. Do each exercise for as long as you feel comfortable, but make sure to do it every day. It's better to do 5 repetitions every day than 15 times a week. Pay attention to how you feel. Avoid pain or excessive fatigue. If you feel that an exercise is too challenging, do fewer repetitions or take it slower. A habit should be a joy, not a torture. Make it a part of your morning routine. After your workout, drink a glass of water or have a light breakfast. Turn it into a pleasant morning ritual. Within a week, you'll notice your body getting used to it and craving those movements. And after a month, you'll see noticeable results. This simple 5-minute habit has the power to change your life, just as it changed mine. Give it a try and see for yourself. Despite the simplicity and accessibility of these exercises, I want to share a few important safety tips with you. No matter how much we want to regain our former strength and confidence in our legs, it's crucial to remember that age demands respect and caution. First of all, if you've never exercised before or haven't been active for a while, start slowly and cautiously. I'm telling you this not because I doubt your abilities, but because I really want this habit to benefit you rather than harm you. Pay attention to a few key points. Don't push through the pain. If you experience sharp or pulling pain while exercising, stop immediately. Mild fatigue or tension is normal, but pain is always a signal from your body that you need to reduce the load or choose a different exercise. Be especially cautious if you have chronic conditions. If you have joint issues, arthritis, osteoarthritis, recent surgeries on your legs, or heart problems, be sure to consult your doctor before starting any exercise program. Even seemingly simple exercises can place unwanted stress on your body if your individual circumstances aren't taken into account. Pressure control. As we age, many of us experience an increase in blood pressure, and even mild physical activity can trigger a temporary spike. If you are taking medication for blood pressure or experience dizziness when changing positions, make sure your blood pressure is stable before starting any exercises. Take your time with progress. It's completely normal to want to see quick results, but remember that the key here is not speed, but consistency. Gradually increase your workload, giving your body time to adjust and adapt. Start with a minimal number of repetitions, gradually adding more only when you feel your body is handling it easily and without strain. This simple habit should become a helper, not a challenge. The goal is to restore your comfort, not take it away. Be mindful of yourself, listen to your body, respect its signals, and then you will be able to safely and sustainably regain the strength you thought you had lost. I shared my story not to brag or to make you believe in miracles, but to remind you that at any age we can take at least a small step towards improving our lives. In my case, That step was simply doing 5 minutes of exercise every morning. Just 5 minutes that I used to spend complaining about getting older or pondering that it was too late to change anything. I didn't expect anything special from these exercises. I didn't think I would be able to get up from a chair easily again, climb stairs, stroll through the park, and feel confident and free. But that's exactly what happened. Not all at once, but gradually and very noticeably. Now I'm speaking directly to you. Try this habit for just 1 week, not a month, not a year, but only 7 days, and see what changes in your body, your legs, and your mood. It's possible that those 5 minutes in the morning will bring back the joy of simple movements that you've long forgotten. And be sure to share your feelings with me about how your days have changed since you started moving. Your experience is incredibly valuable, as it can inspire someone else who has long given up on themselves and stopped believing in change. Please share in the comments below. How do you feel after your first week? Has it become easier to get up, move around, and walk around the house? What changes have you noticed in your mood and overall well-being? Your words might help someone else, perhaps your neighbor, a friend, or even a stranger who reads this story and decides to take the first step. Remember, it's never too late to regain your joy and freedom of movement. I got mine back at 96, and I believe you can too. I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories. Let's share inspiration and support with each other.